evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Fine Print. I'm Aisha Sindhu. It's been 4 years since the Narendra Modi-led NDA government came to power in India. Now, the BJP won a landslide victory in the 2014 general elections. Now, the race for 2019 has well and truly begun. And what better place to begin the battle than Parliament's lower house itself, the very same one that seats the elected members, the one that depicts the strength of national parties, the one that seats the government and the opposition. And the fight for mandate 2019 began today. On the agenda of the House was a discussion on the no confidence vote, a motion tabled by the Telugu Desam party which claimed that the NDA was no longer fit to rule the country. While moving that motion, the TDP, which is based primarily out of the Indian state of Andhra Pradesh, claimed that the centre had not lived up to the promises that it had made to the people of the state. But very soon, the promises made to the people of one state were overshadowed by an all-out BJP versus opposition fight. An elaborate list of the Bharatiya Janata Party's achievements was laid out by one of the party members. For almost 30 minutes, the BJP MP Rakesh Singh went on to list the government schemes across the country and called the no-confidence motion the result of frustration and desperation. Now, Singh's scathing attack was followed by an address from the Congress President Rahul Gandhi. Having been allocated just 38 minutes to round up his speech, the Gandhi scion went on for almost an hour and a half, frequently disrupted by BJP leaders. His speech was pointed in its attack on the central government. He mentioned the BJP President Amit Shah. He attacked his son for amassing huge wealth, targeted the Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, questioned the Rafale deal with France, raised unemployment, the agrarian crisis, the recent spate of mob lynchings, and foreign policy as well. But the prime target of Mr. Gandhi was Prime Minister Modi. Every comment was a strike at Modi. The criticism, though, wasn't new. It has happened both inside and outside Parliament. But Mr. Gandhi had a trump card up his sleeve. Having known the world over for his bear hugs, Prime Minister Modi was in for quite the surprise after a blistering attack on him by the opposition leader. It culminated with a hug. Take a look. All right, but France has reacted to the Congress President Rahul Gandhi's comments on the secrecy clause in India's Rafale jet deal with France. In a statement, Paris has said that France and India concluded in 2008 a security agreement which basically legally binds the two states to protect the classified information provided by the partner that could impact both security and operational capabilities of the defense equipment of India or of France. Now, earlier, while participating in the discussion on the no confidence motion, Mr. Gandhi had claimed that during his interaction with Macron, the French president had denied that there was any secrecy clause between India and France that prohibited the Modi government from revealing details of the Rafale deal. He said that the Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman had lied about the deal under Prime Minister Modi's pressure.
Now the Prime Minister must explain, and he must answer in this House, whether the Cabinet Committee for Security took this decision or not. The Prime Minister must also explain why this contract was taken away from HAL and the youngsters of Karnataka and given to a businessman who had a debt of 35,000 crores and has never ever built an aeroplane in his life. Now these are the things that the Prime Minister of India must explain. He must explain why a businessman has been favored.
Now, Paris has also said that these provisions naturally apply on the acquisition of 36 Rafale aircraft and their weapons. The statement goes on to say that France's stand does not change on sensitive deals. It can't reveal all of the details.
This concludes the President.
On the secrecy clause, I'd like to show it before you, and I've submitted it for your consideration.
Yes.
It's an agreement which was signed during the previous government in the year 2008, 25th January 2008, agreement of secrecy, which is an umbrella agreement, which was signed by the then Honorable Defence Minister, A.K. Antony.
Please.
And this agreement...
पहले सुनो तो सही ठीक ढंग से. Yes.
And this agreement clearly mentions that under Article 10, as per the, I'm reading this, as per the Article 10 of the Intergovernmental Agreement between Government of India and Government of France on the purchase of Rafale aircraft, the protection of the classified information and materials exchanged under the IGA shall be governed by the provisions of security agreement signed on 25th January 2008. And that's the agreement I'm showing before you let me finish. And that's the agreement which I'm showing you with the signature of the then Honorable Raksha Mantri, Shri A.K. Antony. It is that which we are following.
Now, India has had a long history of no-confidence motions. It has long been a device to test the numbers of the ruling party, sometimes even leading to the fall of governments as they fail to convince a majority in the Parliament to vote against it. Now, the first no-confidence motion was moved in 1963 when Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister. It was moved by the former Congress leader Acharya J.B. Kriplani. The motion, moved by 40 MPs, was debated for 21 hours and lasted 4 days. Mr. Nehru successfully managed to defeat the motion. The second one took place a year later. An independent MP, N.C. Chatterjee, moved the motion against Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri. Now, Shastri managed to tide over the crisis. From 1964 to 75, the Lok Sabha saw a slew of no-confidence motions, as many as 15. Among those, 3 were moved against the former Prime Minister Shastri. 12 others were moved against Indira Gandhi. She went on to face 3 more no-confidence motions between 1981 and 1982, but she had won all the trust votes thanks to the numbers that her government had. Now, in 1979, Y.B. Chavan had moved a no-confidence motion against the government headed by Prime Minister Morarji Desai. He resigned, and this became the first no-confidence motion that led to the fall of a government. Now, the most intriguing and closest of these motions was in 1999, when the Vajpayee government lost a no-confidence motion by just 1 vote, which led to the fall of his government. WhatsApp is a popular messaging app, a great free messaging tool to keep in touch with your friends, with your contacts. But what happens when this tool is misused? Can a WhatsApp message cost someone their life? Well, yes, it can. And it has in India. In a bid to control the spread of fake news ahead of the general elections in the country next year, WhatsApp has announced a series of measures. Now, its senior executives from the United States met with the Indian Election Commission officials. WhatsApp has assured the Election Commission that in the run-up to the elections, it will look out for spam messaging techniques and deploy new methods that can curb the spread of unverified news. WhatsApp plans to enforce a forwarding limit on messages with a limit of 5 chats. It will disable the quick forward option as well. Now, by removing that quick forward option that allows users to send photos and videos rapidly for its Indian users, it's being seen by WhatsApp as an attempt to crack down on the spread of these fake messages. In a statement released by the executives of the instant messenger, it said, quote, "We believe that these changes, which we'll continue to evaluate, will help keep WhatsApp the way it was designed to be, a private messaging app. We are deeply committed to your safety and privacy, which is why WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted, and we'll continue to improve our app with features like this one," end quote. Now, WhatsApp hopes this move will act as a deterrent to mass forwarding of messages. Remember, Indians forward more messages, photos and videos than any other country in the world. According to WhatsApp, it is also the largest market for WhatsApp with more than 200 million users across India. Now, the app also plans to bring in a fake news verification model that it recently used in the Mexican general elections. Verificado was a collective fact-checking exercise deployed by WhatsApp during recent elections in Mexico, a model that they wish to bring to India ahead of next year's polls. WhatsApp is undertaking a similar exercise in Brazil, where 24 media outlets have come together to fact-check viral content and rumors. Verificado is a fact-checking collaborative election reporting initiative, and this is how it works. Well, first of all, it sets up a WhatsApp account and invites WhatsApp users. They ask users to send in information that they receive not just on the instant messaging app, but also other sources and social networks. For every message that a WhatsApp user forwards, the team manually verifies that information. They then respond to every single user individually, confirming or correcting the information that they had. But the question is, why is WhatsApp facing the heat to start with? And what has prompted these changes that the instant messenger has decided to undertake? Well, fake messages on the app have triggered mass beatings and lynchings across India. Just last month, 2 young travelers were lynched in Assam because locals suspected that they were child kidnappers. A mob of close to 200 villagers stopped their vehicle, pulled them out and beat them to death. In May of this year, a 25-year-old was lynched by a frenzied mob of local residents in India's IT capital, Bengaluru. The mob attacked the migrant construction worker based on a WhatsApp message that claimed that he was a child trafficker. Then, on the 23rd of May, another man was beaten to death in Telangana's Nalgonda district. Villagers who were alarmed by a WhatsApp message were keeping a night vigil, saw the victim in an inebriated state, grew suspicious and thrashed him to death. Last year, a mob in Jharkhand went on a killing spree, fueled by WhatsApp forwards claiming that some men were indulging in human trafficking in some villages of the state. Now, these are just a few of the instances that have taken place, but almost all the violence has started with rumor-mongering texts through social networking applications like WhatsApp, apps that have the ability to mobilize large groups of people instantaneously. At least 31 people have been killed in the last 1 year in 10 states, including Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra. In a country with more than 1 billion phone subscribers with access to cheap mobile data, false messages and videos can instantly go viral, creating mass hysteria and stirring up communal passions. So what has the Indian government done so far to tackle this burning issue? Well, WhatsApp's move to limit forwarded messages comes after the government's warning earlier this month to stop the circulation of irresponsible and explosive messages filled with rumors and provocations. The Indian government also sent a second notice to WhatsApp just yesterday, asking it to come out with effective solutions to curb the menace of fake news. The notice served by India's Information and Technology Ministry said that messaging mediums used to spread fake news could face legal action if they remained mute spectators. Now, WhatsApp recently had enabled a feature which would label a forwarded message. However, the government said that the new update was insufficient in tackling fake news. India's top court has also taken note of the issue and pulled the central government up. It admonished the government over a rising number of lynching cases and its failure to rein in the mob. All right, let's talk about the US and Russia now. A lot has happened since the Helsinki summit. The US President Donald Trump landed himself in a major controversy after his statement on Russia's interference in the 2016 US presidential election, followed by various flip-flops by Mr. Trump himself and the White House in a bid to contain the damage after the public furor. Trump has now vowed that if his dealings with Russian leader Vladimir Putin don't work out, he will be the worst enemy that Putin has ever had.
Getting along with President Putin, getting along with Russia is a positive, not a negative. Now, with that being said, if that doesn't work out, I'll be the worst enemy he's ever had. The worst he's ever had.
Now, Mr. Trump plans to invite Putin to Washington, D.C. for a second meeting. This after calling him the possibility of saying that he could be Putin's worst enemy. The White House spokesperson Sarah Sanders tweeted confirming the same. She said, quote, "In Helsinki, President agreed to ongoing working-level dialogue between the two Security Council staffs. President Trump asked John Bolton to invite President Putin to Washington in the fall, and those discussions are already underway." End quote. Meanwhile, the Russian ambassador to the U.S. said that the issues between Russia and the U.S. must be discussed calmly.
Считаю, что сам факт встречи, он уже сам по себе важен. Важно, что два президента сели вместе и без посторонних глаз, при всем моем уважении к журналистскому сообществу, смогли спокойно, без них, поговорить о наболевших проблемах в российско-американских отношениях, обсудили весь круг двусторонних связей, а также проблемы региональной и глобальной безопасности. Отдельно президенты обсудили проблематику стратегической стабильности, в частности, то, что касается контроля над вооружениями. И, как я вчера говорил, мне было, допустим, очень приятно, что президент Трамп сказал слово такое нераспространение.
The Indian rupee has hit a record low of 69.13 per dollar in early trade following the weakness in the Chinese yuan. Not just the rupee, all other Asian currencies have also taken a hit against the dollar today. Now, this is the lowest mark that the Indian rupee has ever touched against the dollar. On June 28th of this year, the Indian currency touched the lowest mark of 69.09 per dollar. So why has the rupee taken such a hit against the dollar today? Well, it's mainly on account of the drop in the yuan amid trade war fears. Chinese currency has dropped by 0.28% to 6.7943 per dollar amid fears of that trade war. It was followed up by other Asian currencies like the Indian rupee seeing a plummet. Trade disputes with America have already dragged the Chinese currency down by 7.6% of its value against the dollar since the end of the first quarter of the year. Now, the rupee went 43 paisa down yesterday and ended at 69.05 against the dollar. The trade deficit widened to more than 3.5-year-long high of $16.6 billion. The rupee is not one of, or rather is one of the worst performing currencies in Asia and is down more than 8% against the dollar so far this year. There are some people for whom money really doesn't make that much of a difference. A Greek luxury hotel found out that way. It was in for a jaw-dropping surprise when the footballing star Cristiano Ronaldo left them a whopping $23,000 tip. That equals around 15 lakh Indian rupees. Ronaldo was on a luxury vacation with his family at the Mediterranean resort shortly after Portugal exited the World Cup. Reports say that the footballer was impressed by the Costa Navarina resort in Greece and couldn't leave without paying the hotel a tip. The 33-year-old also requested that it be split among the hotel's staff. After that holiday, he flew to Turin to officially sign his move to Juventus on a 4-year deal worth about $116 million.